So let's check out the box for Cyborg Superman and see if it's better than your mother's. So on the front we have a window. We see a picture of the toy on the front, another picture of the toy on the side, some pictures of the toy on the back, another picture on the side. And because they gave me multiple pictures of the toy and instead of trying to do artwork, I'm okay with that. I think it's really lazy from other companies where they don't, like, hey, make your box unique. Whether it be, hey, I'm putting these characters in poses that you'll only see this character in because it makes sense for this character, or things of that nature. Don't just give me one render on all three sides of the box, or all four sides of the box. So kudos to Mafex. This thing looks phenomenal. Good box. Nothing on top and bottom. So let's open this bad boy up and see.
What's in the box?
You get a great mix of accessories in the box, which you can see through the window, because we love window boxes. But we get Superman here, or Cyborg Superman to be specific. We get Cyborg Superman, and we get a soft good wired cape. Kudos to them for that. We get a stand. We get a replacement arm for him for his cannon. We get, count them, one set of wrestling hands, one set of flying hands, another set of gripping hands, and a pointy finger and a almost fist hand. And we have the two fists on the figure, and we get two blast effects. Stand up. We get two blast effects for the arm cannon. Also mix of accessories. I really do love the figures coming out of Japan. I wish they were a little bit more cheaper, but they actually put the effort forward so that you don't feel ripped off buying them. For the most part, probably say like 90% of the time, sometimes people are like, what the hell is that? But in this case, nope. Super excited. What's in the box is phenomenal. Anyway, let's check out the design and see how this bad boy stacks up. So you can see, which is super cool in the design, is that if you look at his arm, there are individual parts to make it look more mechanical than one solid piece of plastic. So as you can see, they added pieces to it instead of it being one sculpt. They actually, it looks like the way it's molded is that it looks like it's actually individual parts in the arm, which is really cool. Same thing with the torso. If you lean the torso out, you can see that the way this piece is separate makes it look like it's a completely separate piece, versus it makes it more mechanical than if it was just one sculpt. You get some really good dynamic poses there. Cyborg face looks phenomenal on him. I think the only problem that I have with this sculpt is that his face looks like it's glued on. I know there's a toy, but it looks like it's glued on versus it more of a Terminator look, which is fine. And then the suit looks good. The other mechanical leg looks good. This is actually a really good design for this figure. I do love the fact that they gave us a soft goods cape with a with wires in it so that you can bend it into the position you need it to be. So if you want it to be blowing in the wind, that's doable. If you want it to just be sitting down, that's doable. If you want it to be leaning to the side, it's doable. So really good figure in that regard. But can this thing squat? I'm going to say yes. I'm not sure because I'm looking at the legs, maybe not, but so far it looks like it can. Can this thing squat?
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
So can T-pose, can look up that far. I wish it could look up further because it's supposed to be Superman flying, but I guess that's not too bad. It would need to be a little bit more. That's just fine. His neck is long as the Dickens, though. Like, Jesus. Is that how you make up for the fact for him flying? I guess. His neck is really long. It's super long. Why is this? Oh my God. I didn't realize that until I tried to pose him, that his neck is ungodly long. Like, no one's neck is that long. Okay, and his neck, his head is a little bit too small for this body. Just a little bit. But anyway, that was designed. I didn't realize that until I started to try to pose him, that those two things. Anyway, double jointed elbows. Once again, Japanese people do it better. Hide the double jointedness a lot better than what we see in America. And his arm popped off. 1 second. We have a waist twist, waist diaphragm, double jointed knees. Once again, hidden very well. Hips are not drop hips. They are drop hips, which is cool. He can lift his legs up completely forward so that he will be able to sit with no problem. So the two things that we will love to see is, one, can he sit without looking like a total weirdo? Absolutely can. Sit no problem. His hips, the way his torso contorts, he's not sitting up upright, but his hips do get pretty close to being level with his knees so that he can actually sit properly. So I guess the final question is, can this guy squat? And I'm going to say probably. And that means if he can squat, he can do a superhero landing. So let's see him squatting. Double jointed knees fully engaged. Biceps swivel necessary for this. The cape's not going to get in the way because it's wired. Poke out chest. And that's his, I think that's the only limitation that I see so far, is that even though his hips get level with his knees, he can't drop below them. So toe articulation helps a lot. So while he can get into a squatting position, his squatting position is not the best form. He can't not put his chest much further than that because of the scope of the mechanics. So that's the most he can do. I mean, that's not a crappy squatting form. Not the best, but it works. So that means he should be able to get into a superhero pose. As you can see, great superhero landing pose. Not quite touching the ground. Probably if I put a little bit more flex in his knee, he can probably get that fist to the ground, but still a great superhero landing pose. You're not going to have many poses you can't get this guy in. He's not limited by his cape. He's not limited by anything. The only issue that I have is that his neck joint, besides his super long neck, his neck joint doesn't allow him to look forward. So while this pose is just fine, you're not going to get him in many more dynamic poses. In fact, I don't know how they did the picture of him flying straight, because there's no way that he's going to be flying straight with the way his head is. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at the box now. The way they have it set up, they have it angled more so that his head looks straight versus it actually being straight. So I think the only limitation in how this figure is his neck joint. He gets great movement in his upper torso. He has a waist spin. He has the double jointed knees. He has toe articulation so that you can actually get him in a pose and not have his feet standing straight up. Double jointed elbows, bicep twist. This is a great figure for posing. You're going to get him in some awesome poses. Now the question of price. Money.
See it and want it, buy it, own it.
So as for price, I got this guy at a discount, but normally it's $110. If you have the Mafex not Cyborg Superman, the Mafex Steel, the Mafex Eradicator, and the Mafex Return of Superman and Superboy, this is a no-brainer. This toy is super phenomenal. Besides the neck joint being a pain in the butt, it's going to get into all the poses you need for him. It's going to look phenomenal on the shelf. While he doesn't scale necessarily with any of the DC Multiverse figures, it does scale well with the other figures. The problem is that getting them all together is going to be pricey. But I can't recommend this toy enough. If you can get it on discount or secondhand, please do. You're not going to be disappointed. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next vid. Pigface McGee out.